I'm repairing sewer lines in Rye, New York.
Very nice.
I'm out in the peninsula, so I'm surrounded by these huge mansions.
Is this now?
And I can't get flipping cell service down.
Ben Bale.
And everybody's like jogging and riding bicycles. They almost, I don't know if they're living off interest or they work from home or.
That's a new thing, honestly, and it's all my friends work from home now. I kind of am upset that I could be working from home right now. I don't know if I'd like it, but Jesus, what a different world.
Personally, I like the freedom. I'm not happy with my work product. I'm too easily distracted.
Hello, everybody.
And it's like school. I need that bell ringing every.
We're gonna get this meeting started. Can I have your attention? We're gonna get started with the meeting. Can you hear me well? Yeah, okay. All right, well, to start off tonight, we were supposed to have a presentation from our superintendent. I don't see him here yet. So from the Pine Bush School District, Mr. Dunn was supposed to be here and do a presentation. But really not gonna wait for him too much longer. So we're gonna get started with the work session. There's not a lot on the agenda for tonight. First off is for the budget modification. Everybody get a chance to look at them?
Yep.
Okay. Any questions on anything? No? Okay. New York State Workday Report. That's for the New York State retirement. For all the councilmen and, highway superintendent, all the elected officials to do their workday report. So anybody have any questions on that? I know we're waiting on one more, so we should be fine. Okay, if anybody else have any questions, we're gonna get started with the business meeting. Pledge allegiance to the flag.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
That hurt.
Thank you. So we're gonna move right into public comment for anything that was on the work session. I know there's not a lot, but somebody might want to bring something up. So we'll start. Anybody, three minutes, each individual, 30-minute max. Nobody? Okay. Brittany, you have anybody online?
I don't.
Okay. All right, highway superintendent report. Tom didn't make it tonight, so John will read his report.
We have been sweeping the roads around town. We have started tending to potholes and fixing damages caused during the winter months. Mechanics are getting the grader ready and we'll be working on a few dirt roads we have, honing them up for the season. We are prepping mowers and we'll start mowing for the season shortly. The 284, which I mentioned at the last meeting, will hopefully be done for the May meeting. The state just yesterday announced the budget, so shortly here, we should know our CHIPS funding for the year. Respectfully submitted, Thomas Morrow, Superintendent of Highways.
Thanks, Sean. All right, next supervisor report. I have a couple things tonight. First, I know it was brought up at Peter's ward meeting. I just wanted to touch base about the short-term rentals. We've been meeting with the supervisors of the county. And it seems like everybody's having kind of the same issues that we come across. The county is supposed to be putting together like a template for all the towns to go for. I can't get a date out of them. I don't know when that's gonna come. So me and Peter talked about it the other day. We might end up just, going back into the, and going over the different stuff that we have already and maybe trying to get something accomplished. We are getting calls all the time about, you know, people want to have short-term rentals in the area and, you know, what's the process and everything else like that. So, supposedly, you know, I talked to a realtor, which is also the supervisor of town of Thompson. He said Airbnbs have slowed down a little bit. More and more people are traveling away. So, but I do know we get calls all the time. People want to keep buying stuff up here and doing Airbnbs. So we are going to try and keep going on this. We also, all the supervisors and the county have been trying to get the county to share a little bit with the Airbnb money that they get. You know, they leave the responsibility to us to do all the work and all the inspections and everything else, and then they keep the room tax. So it's not really fair to all the towns. So we've been going back and forth with the legislators to try and get either the room tax given to us or a share of the sales tax to help burden a lot of these towns that are having problems with the short-term rentals. So, just wanted to bring that up.
Hey, Mike, can I make a comment about that? We've done a lot of hard work, the committee here, the council. So we definitely, I think we definitely should follow through on that. There's no reason not to. I mean, we spent a lot of time on it. I really think that.
Yeah.
And I think we probably can come up with something they probably should follow a lot better than they can, tell you the truth.
Yeah. So, yeah,
That's just my thoughts on it.
me and Peter were on the same page with it the
Yeah,
other day.
we've
so.
done a lot of work on that with a lot of public comment and a lot of people putting input in. I think we should finish it up.
Next is, some VFW, veteran flags are gonna start going up. The town has 3 to put up right now, in the Summitville area. I do know at least 26 are gonna go up in the village of Wurtsboro and, 1 in the village of Bloomberg. So we're getting started. Hopefully they'll all be up by, Memorial Day for the veterans. So that's something we are working on for the beginning of May. The Wurtsboro Board of Trade is doing a village historical event where they're painting murals on all the buildings. They approached the town about doing something in Patmore Park for the D&H Canal project, which will run into next year's anniversary. The mural will be there for a whole year in Patmore Park, and you know, it will show off a big mural of what the D&H Canal used to look like. Couldn't give me a exact what it was going to look like. It was up to the artist, but it's something that will be happening all through Wurtsboro. So when the murals start going up, you know, take a look at them. You know, it's the whole Sullivan Street. I sent this to all the councilmen. I don't know if anybody's seen it. Senator Delgado or Vice Governor, Lieutenant Governor Delgado will be at the Pine Bush High School, asking questions and everything else. For that, I gave you guys the date. I think it's May 16th. I don't have it with me. I sent you the thing. Next is also the pool is being worked on. They started putting the liner in yesterday. They cleaned it all up. We still have 1 or 2 little problems that, you know, pool guys are going to fix, but we should be going and have it ready for Memorial Day weekend. The grant was passed and everything's good to go for next door at the police station. Aileen Gunther gave us a grant of $125,000 to help with the barracks. So that's all done and should be getting that soon. We also got a partnership grant from Sullivan 180 that will help with the beautification of Patmore Park. That was $2,000. And then we also got a grant to do the pickleball courts at the town park. They're going to put half is going to be the tennis court. We have 2 courts now for tennis. It's only going to be 1, and then the other side is going to be 4 pickleball courts. And Sullivan 180 also gave us $20,000 for that.
Delgado's the 19th.
All right. Delgado will be the 19th of April. So. All right, that's it for my report. So we'll move on to 2024 abstract number 8. For $125,526 Everybody get a chance to look up?
Yeah.
I'm gonna recuse myself from this one, Mike, because you guys are paying my father.
Okay.
Well, can I oversee it? I'm gonna make a motion to approve the abstract first.
All right, motion by Peter,
Second.
second by John Roofer, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, to approve the financial reports. Everybody get a chance to look at them?
Yes.
All right, can I get a motion to accept?
Motion.
Motion by Gary,
Second.
second by Matt, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Approve the minutes of 4/3/24.
Motion.
Motion by Peter, Gary,
Second.
second by Peter, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, move on to the resolutions. Approve the budget modifications.
Motion.
Motion by Tyler,
Second.
second by Peter, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, approve the resolution for the New York State Retirement Workday and Reporting.
Motion.
Motion by Tyler,
Second.
second by Peter, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, committee reports. We have a couple.
Mike, I have, from the Parks and Rec.
Okay.
Pool reconstruction is underway. Received a grant for the pickle, ball courts and maintenance at the Petmore Park. Coles will assist with volunteers cleanup at Earth Day. Kentucky Derby hat craft is being distributed and final interviews for the camp staff this Thursday. That's it.
There we go.
Good.
Okay, I have the building department's monthly report. This covers March 1st to the 31st. There were a total of 34 permits issued in March. There was 2 single-family dwellings, 32 other permits issued, 8 renewals. 32 COs were issued, 84 violations. There were 10 violations that were corrected and 22 municipal searches. On inspections, they did 30 construction inspections, 10 other investigations. 1 stop order was issued. There were 8 court appearances. Court fines collected were $2,500 for the month. And services and training, Mary, along with some of the rest of the board, myself, Mike, Kira from the building department, we went to a networking breakfast up at Cartwright. Got to hear a bit about promoting the towns and what we could do to economic development. And we didn't go swimming. Monthly fees that were received from the building department were $54,782.75. Year to date, building department has collected $96,694.25. Respectfully submitted from Mary Grass.
Thanks, Peter.
And then just on my end, we had a Ward 4 meeting a week ago. I want to thank everybody who came out for it. As you can tell, you know, the topics that we discussed in the meetings really go a long way. So for people who don't make it to the board meetings, your input is important. You guys from Ward 4, thank you. I'm paying attention to you. We thought we're going to keep moving. So everybody go to your ward meetings because they make a difference and you get to learn a lot. And in our case, we get some good cookies too. So, thanks.
Thanks, Peter. Matt, you got the,
Actually, I don't have any.
Jackie's here. Do you have your report? That's okay. Okay. Everything actually yes. So everything that Jackie has anyway is on our website, both on the Meek website and the town website. So she's got a lot of really good programs coming up. So take advantage of the nice weather and go down to the Meek. Jen, you got your
Yeah, got something to read. I just want to read, we held a meeting on Tuesday, April 9th, around 7 o'clock at night, myself, Supervisor Robbins, Highway Boss Tom Morrow. We had a Zoom meeting with the Mountain Lakes Camp board members, Anna, Stephanie, and Steve. And we discussed several concerns they had up there in the Mountain Lakes Camp. Mainly, number one concern is they're asking for a secondary road to access and egress and during emergency situations, because they only have one road going in and out right now. The location of the road will go across private property. And we've been told that the owner of the private property was not interested in providing access in the past. However, at the request of Tom, Supervisor Robbins agreed to attempt to reestablish communications with the property owners since the last contact was made many, many years ago. So Mike's gonna try to get a hold of the property owners and get that going again. They complained about speeding vehicles in their development or in their neighborhood. Tom agreed maybe we could put some more signs up. That's about as far as we got with that. So we had a nice meeting with them. They promised to either attend or this meeting or be on Zoom to hear about it. I want to announce also the Ward 5. My ward is Ward 5, which is Wardsboro, all the way up to Maston Lake. Anybody's welcome to come to my meeting. We're gonna have the meeting Monday, May 6th. I'm gonna try to do it around 5 because there's a Wardsboro board meeting at 7, I believe. So Monday, May 6th, 5 o'clock. Both the county legislators, Terry Bernardo and Nick Salamone, are going to attend it. They couldn't get it together where they could all be together at a board meeting, I guess, so they're going to attend the ward meeting. If anybody wants to, talk to them, they'll be there that night. And one more thing, I would like to commend Mike and the fellow board members. Judge Joel Welch's courtroom dedication, phenomenal attendance. Filled with people, filled with family, really nice ceremony, keynote speaker, Judge Kelson, Judge Mullen, very nice ceremony. I watched his wife just sit there and smile, the whole time. Very nice, very well done, Mike.
Thank you, Jim.
That's great.
Like, before we go to, or anybody else have committee reports? Probably no. Gary? No. All right, before we go to, and I noticed Mr. Dunn came in. So if you want to do your presentation now, but before we go to announcements.
You folks already have these from my presentation. I'll just make these available for folks, okay?
Okay.
You like to take one? Good evening. Thank you very much for making time for Pine Bush Schools. We just wanted to continue our partnership and our communication with all of our stakeholders that we're in the middle of budget formation. We're in the process of getting ready for our May 21st budget vote and school board member vote. We want to strongly encourage everyone who is an eligible voter, please take part in the process. Mr. Lenz, my assistant superintendent for business, is here. He's going to speak for the numbers. I'm going to speak for the program. So I just want to thank everybody for supporting Pine Bush Schools. Your tax dollars are hard at work, and I want to highlight some really great assets for our young people today. Now, you all got this a short while ago, and there's one big number that changed. Our graduation rate went up 1% to 95%. That means 95% of our kids that start their freshman year, we get them across the stage with a diploma and ready for the workplace in college. So that's your taxpayers making a difference in the future of our young people.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
That's a
We're
big deal.
moving forward. All right. So have you guys seen our brand new turf fields for the kids? The kids are wild about it because with all this rain coming down, they're out there playing all different sorts of sports. And coming out of COVID, like I told you, gentlemen, our sports numbers are through the roof. We don't even have enough uniforms for all the kids. That's a good problem to have after that disaster of COVID-19 and everyone staying at home. Our kids are involved in extracurriculars, sports, and programs and clubs, and they're getting a great exercise and teamwork all the while. We got 58 athletic teams. When you come to Pine Bush Schools, you have choice. about what interests you and turns you on. We've got 3 National Junior Honor Societies. Folks, we have a police officer in every one of our 7 schools. We know how important safety and security is to our taxpayers and our parents and our kids. Okay, so our SROs we're rolling them over in our budget. That's a big part of what we believe in. Don't forget about the arts. Did anybody come to our latest art night last week? It was amazing. Museum quality art. We've got 1,327 students participating high quality art programs, not just athletics, but also the arts. Our scholar athlete teams, we've got 22 of them. What else can I talk to you about? We got 11 pre-K classes. It's by a lottery. We don't leave a lot of people on the table. So most people with pre-K age toddlers can come and start school a year early to get them ahead. That's an amazing asset. We've got an amazing lunch service, breakfast. We've even got vending machines in the hallways for kids to come late to school and they want to get their breakfast on the go to make sure that they're ready to learn and have breakfast. Oh, did you hear this? 2 of our Odyssey of the Mind teams made it to nationals, our high school team in Pine Bush Elementary School. And they'll be taking a plane or taking a bus to Iowa for the World Championships. That's an elite competition. So one thing I want you to know, enrollment is dropping. It's probably dropping in Orange County. We're down to about, 4,738 students. Okay. But geez, every single one of those kids is getting a high quality education with this proposal. Okay. So I just wanted you guys to know, I work for you. My name is Brian Dunn, the superintendent of schools. A lot of great things are happening. It's really important to me. If you have a question about anything, reach out. We can have a cup of coffee. We can talk about it, or we can, you can talk to Joe about your taxes. We work for you, and we want to be. Sorry, Joe. Sorry about that. We work for you. We want to be available for you, a resource for you, and we want you to be satisfied with your hard-earned tax dollars. I really appreciate the time. I'm going to yield the floor, thank goodness. And Joe Lenz, he's one of the top assistant soups in the state. He talks the numbers, but he also knows education really well. So, Joe, good luck.
Certainly, thank you, Mr. Dunn. As Mr. Dunn just outlined, we do have a number of great programs at Pine Bush Schools. Certainly, this budget continues those programs. And we're trying to do it in the most fiscally prudent way possible and being mindful of the constituents. But I will tell you that the governor this year has and the legislature has created a ton of uncertainty for us. So while we're standing in front of you tonight, there is no state budget. The state has not approved their budget. They're supposed to have a budget on April 1st. So you can surmise that they're not very timely at this point, which really doesn't help my process to present in front of you and certainly present to the public and the school board on Thursday, because the school board is set to adopt the budget on Thursday. And you can say, well, how can I do that? Remember ultimately that you're voting on the spending plan. And ultimately, that is what the board is approving on Thursday is the spending plan. But we have to have a balanced budget. And we do that through looking at all of our revenues and trying to do that in a way that is certainly manageable for the public. I too pay taxes, of course, in this county, so I do understand by all means. And the spending plan is just over $141,500,000. As Mr. Dunn indicates, that does cover all of the programs that we have now. It is not without looking at our programs. We actually have over, I think it's 14 teachers that are retiring. We have 5 teachers that we are going to not replace. So we're looking at attrition, looking at enrollment, and trying to be mindful of the cost. So all programs will still be in place. We're looking at the sizes of classes. And so I just wanted to be clear that through attrition, we are looking at staff members. However, we're also looking at the need of our students. So while we're not replacing those same positions, we are replacing 2 psychologists with those positions. So by utilizing the funds from there, instead of adding additional expense, we're using those funds to allocate towards 2 new additional psychologists and a behavior assistant. And that really is out of need for our special education population and really meeting those needs of all of our children. And that request came from our Director of Special Education. You can see here that the tax levy change is at 2.96%, or the increase. Our tax levy limit for this year was 4.05%. So that the property tax formula yielded a 4.05% increase. However, the proposal is at 2.96. It will not go above that number. The board sets the tax warrant in August. So this stands at this moment, again, because of the uncertainty with the state budget. So I'm making some assumptions based on the state budget and unfortunately, some of the information that's coming out through news articles, assuming that we're going to get at about an additional $700,000 of state aid than what was in the governor's run. If they fully funded the foundation aid formula, it should be $1.4 million more. I wouldn't actually have this number in front of you if that were the case. So that's one of the reasons why I'm saying what I'm saying is that if we were to get more, then the board will not actually set the warrant at a lower number in August. But I'm proposing 2.96 based on the worst case scenario as I anticipated at this point. Is there any questions based on what I'm saying?
So if you do get the full 1.4, will that change what your change, your anticipated raise?
So I would anticipate then the tax levy would be closer to 2.5. So, yes.
Right.
And so, and again, the board acts on that tax warrant in August. And so we have that opportunity to still make the change, but I'm presenting the 2.96 because that's really the worst case scenario option that we're presenting.
Anybody
Okay.
have a question for Joe or Brian? In the audience? No? Okay.
And then I would be remiss. I have to point this out. Our voting locations have changed this year. We used to have 4 sites. We went to 2. The reason why we went to 2 is that we can't get enough poll workers to work are to have 4 locations. So that was the main reason for going. We looked at the pros and cons, but we reduced to 2. We brought them back into our schools. One, because it's also easier to manage that. Why? Because we can go when we open the doors. I will tell you that one of our sites was not so easily to work with to get the door.
Okay. Yep. All right. I'd like to thank everybody for your time as our partners. I really appreciate it. 3,500 eligible voters to vote in the Pine Bush budget election
Here in Mammoth.
here in Mamakating. We need you desperately to please send the word to vote in our election. We only had 5% of our total eligible voters throughout the Pine Bush school catchment area actually vote. Okay? So let's be ambassadors for democracy. Let's model it for our young people and let's get out and vote. Thank you for your time. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Brian.
All right.
Stop by.
Thank you, Joe.
Thank you. Turn in the back.
Good night.
Times are changing. Right? We used to be able to vote in the park. Right?
Okay, so we'll get back to the meeting now. Announcements. Do we have any announcements? No?
No, I mean, while you're here, take a ride over take a walk over to the police station. It's coming along nicely. The installations, all the spray foam's in, walls are insulated, and they're getting ready to sheet rock. It's starting to look good, and the police are very excited. Thanks for everybody's support.
Thank you, Peter.
Thanks.
Anybody in the audience have a announcement for something coming up? No? Okay. Public comments, 3 minutes each individual, 30-minute max for any new business. Go ahead, Kathy.
Down, so I hope it doesn't take too long. So I begin by offering my thanks to each board member for your service and your commitment. I know your job is complicated. By way of background, I remind you that on April 3rd, it was snowy and wet. Many of us had no power, so attending the town board meeting just wasn't possible, either in person or on Zoom. I understand that at the April 3rd meeting, our town board voted to endorse Bloomingburg's application for a federal grant relating to work on their sewage treatment facility. Given the ongoing kerfuffle with this facility, I'm a little befuddled. Number one, unless I'm mistaken, the village board waited for nearly 18 months to warn neighbors of the risk posed by their sewage treatment facility, and only did so when the DEC forced their hand. The village board at their most recent meeting indicated that their sewage treatment plant contractor did not raise any alarm about the system failure. Keeping in mind that notices of violation began in June 2022, the whole sequence is hard to comprehend. We must either believe that they and their contractor are spectacularly incompetent, or that they just didn't care about their neighbors. I'm not sure which is worse. 2, I am not aware that the village board or Department of Health performed any assessment of the vaccination status of those whose sewage was dumped into the Kill. Are there elevated risks of communicable infection? How long do bacterial and viral contamination live in the water, in the sediment, in the flora and fauna? Are there no issues or no analysis or just no communication? 3, the village board seems to accept use of wet wipe type products as the villain in this fiasco, and frankly, I agree with them. However, they don't seem to be willing to take affirmative action to protect their infrastructure, their neighbors, or frankly, themselves. Oh, they give lip service to some possible future information sheets that they will work on later, but they respond tepidly to the idea of any definitive action, such as a local law that would put teeth to their knowledge. 4, the failure of this relatively new and underused sewage system is a huge red flag. Pair that with intensive and increasing development, one can only imagine the impact. It would seem that the time to address these issues was before approving development and loosening code, not after. In fact, wise and prudent managers would put a moratorium on new development until village regains control over use of wet wipes and their system operations. 5, at their April 1st meeting, the village board announced that they have made a request to the Office of Representative Mark Molinaro for $5 million in federal funds to enhance and expand and improve their sewage treatment plant. That comes to about $5,000 per person in Bloomingburg. That's $5,000 per person, not per family, not per dwelling, per person. It's difficult to understand why Bloomingburg did nothing to warn their neighbors of a serious health threat. Yet here they are asking for a favor from the very people they knowingly put at risk. And unbelievably, if our favor to them pays off, then we, the taxpayers, will foot the bill for their overdevelopment, their poor management, and their poor planning. So why did the town board act so quickly? Was it just a knee-jerk reaction to be nice? I hope so. But frankly, I'm more befuddled than I am enthusiastic. I'm disappointed that you were in such a hurry to do this. Personally, I wish you would retract the letter.
So before you leave, because I know everybody's going to get up and say the same thing. All right. It was a time sensitive thing. You know, on Monday, because you were at the meeting, right?
Yes, I was at, well, no, at the
In
Monday
Bloomingburg.
meeting in Bloomingburg, they did not indicate that it was time sensitive. In fact, quite the reverse.
Well, they did mention it at the meeting, right?
Oh, yes, they announced that they were planning
So-
to make a request. Yeah.
Right, when they
absolutely.
presented it to us, they said, this has got to be due in by Monday, or Friday, I'm sorry. So they did their meeting on Monday. Tuesday, we didn't have a meeting because of the primary, and we had it on Wednesday. So it was presented to us. We think it's a good reason that we support this is because we were asked before this all happened, what is the town doing about the brown water going into the Kill? Numerous times. I didn't have
I'm sorry, you were asked by whom?
residents.
Oh, okay.
I got plenty of phone calls. What are you gonna do? Okay, the town has no jurisdiction on the sewer plant or the waterway.
Absolutely.
So the DEC follows that. Now, from my opinion, if they're gonna try and fix something to make sure that brown water don't get in our waterway, I'm for it. If they're gonna go for this grant, I'm for it.
According
But-
to Mayor
but-
Wood, the system is fixed.
Well, it is, but this is for future stuff down the road. Who's gonna say it doesn't happen again?
Because they don't want to take action to fix the real problem.
Well, they're trying to get a grant to do this.
The real problem is wet wipes.
Well, that's,
And Mike, to be honest, $5 million, if you divide $5 million dollars by the number of dwellings, it's cheaper for them to install new septic systems. If people can't be responsible citizens and put in the appropriate items into into a sewer treatment facility, then have your own septic system and be accountable for it. The
But-
rest of us are.
but you know how grants work.
Yes, I know
Right.
how.
So
grants-
Mark Marlowe gets money no matter what.
Mark Molinaro is willing to spend $5 million. $5 million.
So he's allotted a certain amount of money no matter what.
I get it.
So, if he's gonna give it to Bloomingburg or he's gonna give it to Ellenville, he's spending the same amount of money. And I personally feel that we have a system that's broken, and I want to make sure that brown water doesn't end up in our waterway.
I'm simply not convinced, based on having attended their meetings, that anyone has done a cost benefit analysis, anyone has done a technological analysis.
Well-
We're talking about throwing $5 million at 1,000 people and hoping it will fix the problem. And to be quite frank, they have a system that's operating at 14% capacity. Why in the only reason it's failing is that the population is not treating that system with respect.
Right. And I agree with it. But on the same note, they haven't gotten a grant yet. It's not a done deal. So everybody that's mad about everything about this grant, send a letter to Mark Molinaro.
Absolutely. But I feel obligated to tell you how I feel because you're my
absolutely.
board. And again, I started by saying that I thank you for your service and I thank you for your service all 7.
I just have no jurisdiction in the village of Bloomingburg, how they do their daily business. They don't tell me how to run the town. So, when this grant came up for possibly fixing, I had this discussion with Jackie today. I feel my personal is I'm more worried about the water than worrying about who pays for it. That's first and foremost.
I absolutely agree with you,
know,
but
so-
money is money and it's real money and it's money that we paid for. I mean,
yeah, we
all
all
of us pay our taxes just.
Everybody in New York,
Just
it's a federal
yesterday,
grant. So
paid our
everybody
taxes.
from here to all over pay for it. It's a federal. grant.
Absolutely,
So
absolutely.
my recommendation would be that unhappy, send letters to Mark Molinaro and maybe he'll cancel it or he won't give it. But we don't have that, like I said, my feelings the same. I'm worried about the water. I'm in favor of them trying to get a grant to help the situation. But if he doesn't get it, they were applying for it anyway. Whether we gave them a letter of support or not, they were still applying for it. So, I don't know what to say. Like I said, I'm more worried about the water system and going into, the community down the stream as everybody else is. And that's why I was in support of it. I could care less about developers paying for it. I'm worried about the waterways. And like I said, if anybody wants to send letters to Mark Molinaro, maybe he'll squash it. But that's not for us to say.
Thank you for hearing my comment.
All right. Thank you, Kathy.
Basically the same complaint. My name is Diane Nastanz. I live on the mountain in Bloomingburg. I've got a few questions for the village of Bloomingburg, and perhaps you can answer them. Why is the wastewater system still not repaired? Now, when I was at the last, not the last meeting, but the meeting prior, the mayor said that he only found out about the wastewater system not working in November of 23. Come on, he's been there for 4 years. I have a problem with that. That's number one, my first question. Number two, how can the village apply for permits for another building development when the existing wastewater system has not been functioning properly with the developments it has now? They are planning on building on that 200 acres that they bought, another huge development. The system that they have isn't working now with what they've got. How in hell is it going to work with a new one? Are they going to put a new one in? Maybe, but if 4 years, we don't know about what's going on until November of almost the last year, I have a problem believing that. Number three, Why has the village asked for permits to create apartments in the basements of the existing developments? Duh. Is that not going to affect the way, the actual town water? The water that their wells are feeding them if they start digging into the ground under the developments that are already there? This makes no sense to me. Why do they break the law with the racket made by the sound system in the village, which has become a danger to residents as far away as a mile? I live on the mountain, which is 1 mile from Bloomingburg proper and their sound system. I have a horse. My neighbor has beef cows. My neighbor across the street has a horse. I was almost killed when they blew that horn and my horse spooked. She's 31 years old. I'm 81. I don't bounce. I was knocked down twice. I blasted the village the first time, emails both to the mayor and the BOT. And this last time, I blasted the BOT again, okay? I've gotten no response, no I'm sorry, no nothing. They also blasted on Palm Sunday so loudly out of that sound system that it disturbed the Catholic Church on the top, their Palm Sunday services. Come on. This is ridiculous, okay? Why, all right, I understand that the fire alarm sirens, the fire alarm sirens are not sounded after 6 p.m. until 6 in the morning at night anymore. As far as I'm concerned, living on the mountain, people are people. They were given pagers. Some of them use them, some of them don't. Our firemen are volunteers. Maybe they forgot to, we don't know if they forget to charge their telephones or cell phones, okay? So if there's a fire and there was alarms out there, I hear it, I get up, I look out, make sure there's nobody on fire around me. I'm not a fire person, so I don't run out and save people, unless of course my barn was on fire or my house. Okay, what about everybody else? If you live in a small community in a town, yeah, it's a little loud, but we've lived with those sirens for 40 years that I'm living in this town. All of a sudden, they don't need them.
So
This is disgusting, okay? Why has the residential tax for the wastewater system reduced from $18 per family to $6.25 per family? This is dollars. They have a wastewater system that's not working, and yet they reduce the charges that the people are paying for the wastewater system. Come on, this is nonsense. This is all my question. You may know more.
I know, it's just 3 minutes, we're up. That's all.
I'm sorry. Okay, this is very quick. Does the Board of Trustees in the Village of Bloomingburg think that they're above the law? It seems that this behavior is working without taking into consideration the health and well-being of all residents. In case they haven't noticed, this is a mixed community and all the residents must be considered. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, good evening. My name's Elizabeth Zambuto. I live in Yankee Lake and I'm the president of Yankee Lake. I'm also a realtor, so I'm a broker and I'm all over the place. So I'm up in the town of Delaware, and which is Callicoon, and they have short-term rental in their town already set up. And I have one from Livingston Manor, which is town of Rockland. I just want to show you these, if you can have them. I don't know if they're helpful, but I can see that a lot of the little towns are starting to implement stuff. That's all. And I
Yep.
just,
Yeah, just leave them out there. Actually, I'll make copies for everybody before they leave.
just one other thing. I live in Yankee Lake on Yankee Lake Road, and I asked Peter, we spoke, the little bridge, Tommy knows that the little bridge has a problem. It's a lot worse since the other day, you guys. It's really crumbling. And when you guys sent the sweeper,
Mhm.
you know, I was right behind him and he swept a lot of that tar asphalt right into the Pine Kill. But since those chunks in the sweeper, now the other chunks are coming. I must hit that bridge 10 times a day, so maybe Tommy can just do something. I know you shouldn't have put the tar on top of the wood, but that,
Yes, actually, me and Tom talked about that bridge today because I got an email. And, he's working on it.
all right,
Okay.
all right, thank you.
Thank you.
Just thank you for the short term. I really need some help up at the lake because everyone wants to buy up there and, rent.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, you can, well, I'll make copies. But she got to do the minutes. Anybody else have any? Go ahead, Mary Allison.
Thank you. And I just wanted to start off by saying how appreciative I've been of you all as a board, a working board, the cooperation across all kinds of issues, party lines. It's been impressive. And under your leadership, Mike, that set a tone. And what I've noted all the months is that you've really sought community input. So you probably see where I'm going here. I was disappointed when I heard that a support letter for the Village of Bloomingburg was agreed upon by this board. It was not on the agenda. I had looked at the agenda ahead of time. Probably wouldn't have made it anyway, but still, it wasn't there. And I think that's key as far as communicating with this community and letting us know what's going to be discussed. And then the fact that it was moved so quickly. Yes, I'm pretty familiar with grants. I've done a lot of grant writing. I know grant processes. But to say that you only have 2 days, maybe that's the case.
It's happened.
It was the case. Okay.
It actually happened with the Meek, Friends of the Meek.
Was that the county grant?
Yes, where you got money for, the interns. It was the same kind of situation. We actually voted on it by email and
Right.
ratify it at the next meeting because it was time sensitive.
Yeah, but this is a bit more controversial and as you all well know, and I would suggest that the town could have offered, if you will, bargaining points before saying we enthusiastically support rebuilding this sewage treatment plant. So for example, one thing I might have suggested is tell me about the contractor you're using and are you going to be continuing with that contractor? Because I would put a lot of responsibility on that company. That's what their job is, managing the plant. And so you're just going to, and as I understood it, the letter actually said the town, it didn't say the town board. And I can assure you, when I was going around campaigning door to door, Bloomingburg, the sewage treatment plant, really an issue on our citizens' minds. So I'm disappointed that you would move so quickly. I understand what you're saying about deadlines, but you could have also, if you wanted to move quickly, I feel you could have put in your conversation with the village, with the mayor, the board, you could say, we're doing this, but we want you to investigate this, this, and this. Now, I don't know. That's me. I'm no attorney, the attorney sitting here, but again, I don't feel you all, who I've really been impressed with as far as representing this town. I feel like on this issue, you disappointed us. Thank you.
Thank you.
before the developments that have happened in the town of Bloomingburg happened. That sewage plant that's there now was brand new and it was put in for them. So what we're talking about is putting in another new sewage plant. If they're not maintaining the one that they have, how are they going to maintain the one that is going to come, that's going to cost $5 million? They paid for the one that's in there now, that's barely working.
Okay, thank
It's
you.
something you have to think about, folks.
Anybody else? Go ahead, Graham.
Hi, my name is Graham Best. Just about the short-term rentals. I was on the board back 2019, something around there, and I was going to meetings up with the county and they were saying, we're putting together a plan for short-term rentals. So I strongly urge you to continue moving forward. I was really impressed that you had started work and I was kind of upset that it had stopped. So keep
Thank you.
going. Thank you.
Graham. Anybody else like this? Go ahead, Brendan.
Hi. Mike, I gave you a phone call yesterday
Yep.
to explain the disappointment and the board doing something like this without having public comment based on what you're hearing tonight. If this room was packed, if it was packed and they knew about this letter, they'd have a lot of questions to ask. And what you're hearing is not incorrect. I mean, if these rags or wipes or whatever they are continuously are going in and nobody's listening, and I know you told me taxes went up and stuff like that, which I would have thought that would have been a pretty decent deterrent, but obviously it's not. And holding the threshold as far as responsibility for the residents, we're responsible for cutting our grass, we're responsible for keeping our houses up, you know, so that we don't have any kind of blight or anything like that. And you know, degrade somebody else's house that's next door to us. So it's at 30% capacity. This has not even been here 10 years. Why are we doing this? And at least, I mean, enthusiastically responding to this and the letter that was written, and I have some questions, which I told you I was going to ask tonight. Without having public input, I'm not so sure you would have done the same thing. I don't know. Maybe you would, maybe you wouldn't have, but at least you would have had the opinion of the public. And all I'm asking is going forward, because I have the utmost respect for every one of you on this board. I appreciate what you're doing. I think you've all done a good job. But this just optics alone, and I said that to you yesterday, Mike, is not good. It's just not. And if you want the respect from the public and continue having the degree of respect that you have from the public, they can come in here. I know I can come into your office and talk to you anytime, and I can be a straight shooter with you and you can with me. And all these people in here, I think the same thing as I do. But now we've got our guard up. That's not a good place for any of us to be. And I don't think you guys want that either. All right, so that's just on that. What I don't understand, I mean, I get it all about what the issues are on here, but I don't understand the rest of this and what this means. And Ben, maybe you can answer this. Due to Bloomingburg's small budget, a key step in this project is the dedication of the municipal leverage. Additional funds from the federal or state funds are needed for this F-25, 225 community project grants that are available. And by the way, it's $100,000 to $5 million that they will appropriate. And I read into this more about municipalities participating in something like that. That's one of the things that a municipality can do. But the expectation is the public is, you know, if you guys are the town board, we are the town of Mamakating. The letter was addressed you were enthusiastically, you were operating as the town of Mamacating. It's not that the board is not the town of Mamacating. You are the town board representing the people of this town. Okay, so a key step to this project is the dedication of municipal leverage. Ben, what does that sentence mean?
That just means that where you leverage funds to help pay for a project, and that might help attract other funds as well, but also through village taxes.
Okay, that brings me to the next question. For federal and state funds, not only to improve upgrades of the sewer system, okay, but to aid economic substance. Ben, I'll give you a crack at this. I already know what the definition of this is. And this is actually this is actually a bill that was passed back in 2019. Hold on here, I'll read it to you verbatim. And tell me if I'm wrong, Ben, because it's possible I'm wrong too. The definition of economic substance is a doctrine, a tax law of the United States of America, under which transactions must both have a substance purpose, aside from reduction of tax liability, and economic effect, aside from the tax effect, in order to qualify for a tax break. That's what that means.
Well, I'm not familiar with that.
Well, I wasn't either, but that's what it means. So my question to all of you tonight is that whole paragraph. If you need to do an amendment, amendments can happen, right? I'm sure Molinaro's office is not going to have a problem with a flipping, small amendment. That whole paragraph has to go. Because what does it have to do with this grant? If we're looking at an economic substance, okay, so does that mean that's going to be for the purposes of other things other than the sewer plant and what's needed for it? Because this seems like an awful lot for no reason. And if I'm interpreting it this way, this is, again, like I told you yesterday, Mike, it's subjective. It is. So anybody that's reading it, and that's why I'm here tonight, because I wanted to get some answers to the questions, just like people did here tonight, the rest of us. So it's something to look at, Ben, and maybe talk to the board about it, because I don't know what this means. Is there room, because of how this is written, that it can be interpreted from somebody else? Like the people that are actually going for the grant. The grant is the grant. They're going to have to do the work just like everybody else does. And I get that. But as far as this goes, I think you ought to rescind it or at least take another look at it. And hopefully everybody's learned something from this, including us. All right,
Thank you,
thank
Brenda.
you.
Go ahead.
I'm Paula Gutierrez. Fine. I just have a couple questions. Tyler, you could probably help me with these. It's in our district. I live on the mountain also, and the microphones in the village, the speakers are hitting my house, and I'm more than a mile away from them. Also, I'm hearing a lot of rumors about the Horton Farm, and I'd like some clarification. I've been told they asked for a logging permit. I've been told they are looking at satellite farm. Do you know anything about this?
Nothing's come in front of the planning board. And as
Because
far as the logging permit, I'll check with the building department tomorrow, but I
I
haven't heard
think you
it.
need to do that. Because
Yeah.
every single day at my house, chainsaws are going. At 7:15, I left my house this morning. Chainsaws are going on that farm.
Okay, I will check
Okay?
with Mary. I
There's a
didn't hear
dirt
of
road
anything.
behind that farm.
Right.
That goes up into the mountain. If you look at that farm, you will see all the trees, all the logs that they were pulling out of there. It's almost a 90-acre farm. You can't see anything. So they're doing something in there.
Okay.
And
I'll
I
have Mary
think we
check
all
it out
sort of need
tomorrow.
to know what it is.
Okay.
Okay,
And as far as a solar thing, nothing's come in front of the planning board.
okay. But we will be informed correctly?
But yeah,
Correct?
yeah, because anybody who lives around it has to get a certified letter. And you're pretty close, so you'll get first one, so.
Yeah. I'd be delivering it myself also. But I'd really like to know about the logging because
Yes.
that's a major issue because
Yep.
we cannot see it, but I can hear it. And I mean, every single day. I've been hearing it for weeks.
Okay.
This morning was the first time I heard it that early. But they're even doing it in weather.
Okay, I'll check with Mary.
I appreciate that. Thank
Yep.
you very much.
Okay. Anybody else have any? Go ahead.
Hi, Kathy Heil. I just want to echo the sentiments that have been expressed here and also that include, you know, the respect that I have for everyone that gives their time on this board because I know the time it takes. So I do understand that. But I do also believe that this board did not do their due diligence when it came to writing that letter, that you did not do your due diligence. And I am not, as a town of Mamakating resident, enthusiastically in support of this. You know, I think we're all concerned about the water and the environment that we live in. But there are more questions than answers. And I think that those questions should have been asked by this board and you did not do your due diligence. And it is disappointing to say the least. And I hope moving forward that there could be some foresight when things like this are presented, because there's a lot of questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Hi, Pat Khan. I want to echo exactly what they were saying also, and I'm going to bring it up again. This is like the third time about the truck traffic on Rooster Gap Road. Could somebody please look into it? It's tractor trailers constantly. And all commercial vehicles, Lay's potato chips trucks, they shouldn't be coming down Rooster Gap Road. There is no line of sight on that road at all. It's so dangerous. When I have to make a left out of my driveway, I can't see who's coming from the right. There was a tractor trailer doing 60 on my road. So could somebody get in touch with the DOT to see if we could have a sign, no commercial vehicles except local deliveries? That would be great. I've been asking for 10 years and nobody does anything. So I would appreciate it if you could check it out for me.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Brent. Hey, well, I gave you 6 minutes the first time. Yeah. Yeah, I give you the whole meeting.
They had put a 15-ton sign. Right. There were, I don't know who from the highway department, a few years back, put all those signs down. 15 tons is way too high.
And the highway department put those signs up. Matter of fact, Russ was on the board at the time and said, no, I'm just saying. At the time. And no, I don't expect.
I was
No.
probably a kid at the time, honestly,
Then
Brenda, so.
So you're still a kid, yeah, but that's okay. That's a good thing. So at any rate, 15 tons was what Russ thought. As far as the trucks going up there, they're probably tearing up the roads. It is very, very dangerous. I've been up that. All of you should take a ride up if you haven't been up there in a while and just figure, you know, a big semi coming down there at 45 miles an hour. You know, they're doing it because it's a shortcut. Waze is taking them to that road, but it doesn't mean it needs to stay that way. They got to have the signs back up. We don't know where the signs went. The highway department did put them up. Maybe check with Tommy. I don't know if Tommy might know.
It was waiting for him.
So it was way before Tommy that they went down?
Yeah, it was probably during Richie Johnson, our buddy.
Well, maybe, I don't know, but maybe if you can help them out, you know.
Okay.
and maybe-
Tom's in the back. Good.
Last time I come to one of these things. No, we didn't take those signs down. I'm not sure who did, but we'll look into it. One quick note on that, though, 15 tons for local deliveries. There's a lot of ambiguity there. Because what's a local delivery? If I get off of 115 with my Lay's truck to go to the deli in Walker Valley, is that a local delivery? So can they be on that road? So putting the signs back is not by all means a good idea. We can certainly try it, but it's not going to just stop the problem. But certainly noted, and it definitely is an issue. These town roads are just not built for these vehicles that are driven on them these days. So I will look into that. Yankee Lake Road Bridge, I don't know if I spoke to you specifically about it, but yes, I'm working on funds to get a new bridge, a box culvert, just like Red Hill Road Bridge was done 2 years ago. It's just a money thing. We have to get the money in place. Again, like the school board chair said, you know, a lot of our funding for getting road work done is through CHIPS. And here we are, second week into April, and we don't even know what we're getting for the year. So I have quotes to do loads of work this year, but I don't know what I can do. And hopefully the state gives us the information in time, so the contractors we have to use are available. So there's a whole lot of moving parts, but definitely that bridge is in our site. And I do just want to commend everybody that spoke today in regard to the issue in Bloomingburg. I know it's a touchy subject and it has been for, well, more than a decade now, but I would just, if I could offer one word, if this had been the case in 2002 and there was sewage spilling out into the Kill and this board did anything but immediately support the village in getting a grant, free money to fix it, I think we'd be here saying the same thing. So I just kindly remind everybody on the board and everybody in the public, great little line from the West Wing. After this, therefore, because of this, post hoc ergo propter hoc, we're here now concerned about this because of what was done years ago and what is going to continue to happen. So if anything, perhaps what they were trying to do with this board is ensure that dangerous water wasn't moving past the village and downstream to people's backyards and houses. So my thoughts on that. Thank you, everybody. Have a great night.
Thanks, Tom. Okay, we're actually past our 30-minute max. So, Brittany, hold on, Chris, you want to get up and speak? Yeah, go ahead. We'll let it go a little longer.
It wouldn't be right if he didn't speak.
Yeah.
I wouldn't feel right.
I hope it's a good one. Chris.
I need to hear this.
There's a saying out there, if you don't have anything good or pleasant to say, don't say anything at all. It's really getting kind of hard to live up to that axiom. I was going to say something else, but it seems like time is getting on here. So one quick thing I thought of, this thing with this rags and stuff, someone said a profound statement, use a bidet. It does. Yes. So this is from the Sullivan County Democrat. This is going back a few years to 1994. The margin of just 9 votes separate the contenders for the mayor in the village of Bloomingburg following Tuesday's election. Incumbent Ron Scott, blah, 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 so on and so forth. Just as a useless bit of local information, there were 3 Scott kids, Ronnie, Donnie, and Connie. That's the fact. I didn't name them. But anyway, so if anybody knows where the government center is, periodically, if you happen to be there, you'll see from the second story, this amazing assortment of quilts that many people make. It is beyond, I don't know how to even describe all that stuff that I see and all that stuff. I'll shorten it up because anyway, I will shorten it up. The Calico Geese Quilters held their 3rd annual Quilt-a-thon Saturday with more than 50 quilts produced or donated to the Sullivan County Public Health Nursing Service for the distribution to needy children. 25 ladies gathered at the Cornell Cooperative Extension Education Center in Liberty to cut, trim, and stitch in an assembly-like production to produce the quilts. And I don't mean to embarrass one of our people here who's very artistic in that. Kathy Dawkins I've seen some of their work that the ladies do. It's just. I could go on, but I thought maybe she could elaborate best. I'm not a quilter.
For delivering 50 quilts for babies for Sullivan County, put on a baby vest for.
Tell everybody, I mean, she does, you're seeing. The idea, the design, and the time that for this stuff.
So the Sullivan County Quilting Guild is actually each year we probably give out about 150 donation quilts, and we give them to a variety of places, nursing homes, emerging needs. Actually, we gave one year to one of our neighbors who lost a home in a fire, and it was very rewarding. He enjoyed it quite a bit. But we're giving 50 this Thursday. I'm going to be giving 50 quilts, and each quilt is a handmade quilt. It's hand pieced. It probably takes about a month to create each quilt, and each one is a personal individual design. And so it's a pleasure. It's a labor of love, and we enjoy doing it. So thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else here or? All right. I was gonna check online quick. Just Brittany, do you have anybody online?
I don't.
Okay, thank you. Go ahead, Peter.
Okay. I don't need a microphone. I heard the rousing applause when somebody mentioned using a bidet. It's a simple idea, and if we want to be proactive and go after the cause of this thing, there was a bill that was put out in the state Senate back in 2015-16, which went after the companies that make these wipes and trying to force them to stop advertising as being flushable or biodegradable or anything else. It was in committee in 2015-16, 17-18, and went till 2021. I called Senator Oberacher's office. Actually, we had a chance to speak to him one-on-one. I asked him if he would turn around and re-sponsor that bill and explain what the situation was. He was totally, he was in shock and said, I love the idea. It makes sense because it's going right after what the problem is. And if we can try to attack the problem where it starts. So I would encourage everybody, if you can't get it, I'll get you Peter Oberacher's contact information. Write a letter to him saying, I'd like you to endorse a bill that prohibits the companies from labeling these things as being biodegradable or flushable. And it's a place to start, and it's a proactive method that we can all go after.
Wow. That's it.
Okay, anybody else on the board have anything to say? All right, we have no executive session, so can I get a motion to adjourn? Motion by Tyler, second by Pete. All in favor?
Aye.
Thanks, everybody, for coming out tonight.
Like, it's a really bad reason, an issue too, right? I mean, it's like worldwide.